Yeah,
So what's
and
what's really interesting about Tower of God, not to cut you off, is like over the past three
but you
seasons,
did.
I did. You're right.
He could have said, "Just want to interject here."
Yeah. But like it, because you mentioned Karaka and like how they're kind of on the fence right now, and then later in your readings, they're kind of like Viol and Karaka are kind of like working together. And before, like middle towards the end of season two, Karaka was just trying to kill Bam like the whole time. So it's like really interesting how Sui, I think that's how you pronounce his name, like takes these characters and like, okay, here's the crew. Now here's the crew. Now here's the crew. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Herbal Synergies, the shop. I am your host, Sinji. With me, my co-host, as always, Irby.
What up?
What's up, Irby? How you doing, man?
Shoot, hanging in there, living life. Nah, I mean, what about yourself?
I was just waiting for you to finish the saying.
Nah, dog. Trying to be some, keep it up. Nah, I mean, something different.
All right, well, before we start sounding different, let's sound a little familiar with this flavor of the week. You got one?
So many good stuff to, talk
Really? A
about.
lot?
Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. I found a lot of stuff I enjoyed this week with Spy X and TOG. And the new show I started watching was pretty cool too. So, yeah. Hmm. But I am going to go with good old Bam trying to wake up. Um,
Yama?
Yama, yeah. And runner up, I was going to go when my man Twilight shot the gun to shoot someone else. I was like, oh,
Oh,
that
Frankie?
was yeah, that was nice. I was like, oh, that's a nice touch there. But yeah, yeah. What about yourself?
I don't know if I don't have a backup, but I think my flavor was just Anya punching the shit out of that rich boy.
Yes, that was great too.
You know, sent him flying. I'm like, oh, damn.
She did. I like that one. Yeah. She really gave it to him. He deserved it though. He's being a total tool.
He did. He does it. He did deserve it. Well,
Yeah.
I think it was just casual influence of who you're hanging around.
I think that also is too, because when kids run in a group, normally like one kid likes to be mean or something, they all tend to if they have a big enough personality, they all tend to gravitate towards being mean towards a particular kid.
Yeah, and it's also like, oh, haha, this guy is probably the most important person in school, so we're gonna kiss ass and make fun of anyone that we feel he should be against.
Yeah.
And then that in turn puts pressure on the guy who probably isn't so bad, but like because now he wants to keep up his image. I've seen it in a couple shows and reads.
Yeah, where they do that, where they're like, I gotta portray myself in a manner which exhibits I'm higher than the plebeians, as they would say.
You got a little too intellectual from my vocabulary.
Oh, my bad, dog.
It's all good, homie.
Yeah. So what you want to get into first? You just want to get into the Spy X family since that was your flavor?
Since we were just talking, yeah, we can get into a
Yeah.
little spy.
Yeah. I'd have enjoyed these past little three episodes. So Spy X Family episodes 5, 6, and 7. Episode 5, will they pass or fail? So I did like how this one started off. They were waiting on the results, and they were all nervous and fidgety and stuff. And Twilight, he was like, "This is more nerve wracking," and I'm like, "As you're a spy, you've been behind enemy lines and shot at and probably almost stabbed and kidnapped, a whole bunch of other stuff." And
That don't phase him no more, dog.
yeah, and like waiting for some test results, you're like, "Oh my goodness." And So then all that bad omens happens, and I'm like, oh man. But I'm like, I know she gets in because that's the whole premise of the show.
If
But
she
it's like,
has
how,
to, exactly.
yeah, it's like, how does she get in is the real question.
Well,
So
the further I go on with the show, the more I'm just like, okay, so what happens when the mission is done?
um,
What are we doing
I
with Yor and Anya?
I feel like what's going to happen is he's going to end up, uh, I think, adopting her or something, or finding her placement, or something that works in like his spy schedule. So that's what I feel like. And then yours come back, oh, I want to be a part of this too. We got to stick together, be a family. Something mushy goes that way. So that's what I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
along those lines. But anyhow, yeah, I thought the keyword was a nice touch to the soccer blossom blooms. It gave me a Naruto flashback.
Yeah, and they're
Uh,
like, I'm sure he'll be saying that eventually, and then they appear at the sign like her name's not up there.
yeah, it was. What was the saying? Lee, Mike Guy always used to say.
And, the lotus of the leaf always blooms twice, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I forgot, but yeah, that was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, so the names are on there. Um, so then we go to yeah, what is it? We flash to what your what she her and they were there and they're doing like a praise dance that she gets in. I thought that was a
Well,
cute touch too.
before we got there, they had the moment where Mr. Elegant was explaining to them, like, hey, she's first in line for getting in the school if someone doesn't come in, which always happens. So she's getting in. But before that, Anya was like, I'm sorry, it's because I stepped in poop.
Yeah,
And like that was cute and funny. And then like Yor, as soon as she heard Elegant Man say like a kidney drop out in her head, she like pictured herself killing someone with a son that was in.
yeah,
And I'm like, yo, she's ready to risk it all.
she is. She's doing whatever she needs to for her offspring.
Her pretend daughter.
Yeah. So yeah, so that happens. And then they get in and Frankie's there real fast and he's drinking. And then I'm like, oh man, it's never good when alcohol's in the mix.
Yo, they
So
were setting my boy up from like the get go.
yeah, they're trying to drink real heavily. So then I was like, oh, I wonder what secrets would come out. Is it gonna be a killer? She's gonna tell him I'm a killer, and he's gonna say I'm a spy, but they never get there. And I'm wondering why Yura doesn't question who this guy is. She did what's like, oh, this is just Lloyd's friend or something. I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird, but you don't even question that. Anyhow,
Nah, she's
so
just like, I have a part to play.
yeah, so that's how that goes. So then I was thinking, yeah, Frankie starts talking to her. It's like, oh, you need a reward and you need to do this. And Anya is like, oh, I got something I want to do. At first, she showed him, was it the spy man?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, she wants him to take her on a mission with him. Yeah. So I was like, oh, well, nope, that's not it. It turns out she wants to go to the castle where they do all the cool stuff. So yeah, it's a theme park, and they set out. They get all this stuff, and he calls HQ to procure an airplane and all sorts of stuff. And they get to the island, and she's like, "Oh, this place doesn't feel right."
Yeah,
And
there's no servers or enemies.
yeah, she's like, "Can you really call it a castle if there's no servers or enemies?" And I'm like, "The girl has a point. She ain't wrong." So
Well, yeah, you can. A castle is not defined by the people in it.
shoot, yeah. I mean, when you think
Actually,
of
a castle
castle,
doesn't necessarily need to have enemies in it.
yeah. Well, when you think of castles, don't you think of like majestic? old people, kings and queens, and people bustling around and having servants and maybe a castle under siege, worth protecting, people guarding it. So, I mean, if it was a historical landmark or something, then I could see that case being made that a castle is a castle. But to a
I
imaginative little child, I think she needs the
no
stimulation of other people.
for things like that, I think of like kingdoms and like the palace. For like castles, I think of like medieval shit, like dragons and siege weapons.
That's also valid.
Yeah.
But yeah, uh, when I have my dealings with castles, there's always people running around in castles and servants and maids and hindquarters and people cookings and all sorts of craziness. But yeah, but yeah, she's a little child, so her imagination has to run wild when she thinks of stuff like that, which is
Oh.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, so Twilight calls in the reinforcements. It gets all some more of his people there, and Frankie tells him what to do, and it's all part of the mission. And he's like, "Oh, do what you can to get in the way." And everyone's like, "Yeah, I'll show my stuff." And one man is like fanboying over Lloyd.
Oh yeah, he was. He was. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh man." And so it starts, and um, one thing I didn't like was like their hood design. I was like, that looks a little KKK. Like it was too pointy for my liking. Like you couldn't have just did like a regular old ski mask on them. Or did you even notice that?
I didn't really notice that.
Yeah, a little too pointy for me. And so I did think there was interesting point she did with the trivia game she was playing.
That last question was a setup, bro. There was no way.
You're supposed to know.
Yeah, my ass was like, I thought he was gonna say Anya wants me to save her, because that's what I was thinking. And she's just like, Anya's thirsty, so Anya wants some water right now.
Yeah, she definitely was thinking that, but then she changed it because she wanted him to save her anyway. But I did think she mentioned she's like, "Oh, I can't wait to see the real Lloyd man." You know,
Yeah, he didn't pick that up.
yeah, I was like, "Oh, Lloyd man." I was like, so she really wants to just see him in action. So I was like, "Oh, yeah,
Which my man went
okay."
to town until
He did.
he got to the end and the final ball showed up.
Yeah, Yor was putting in some work, and I was
Yo,
like,
she was about to fuck him up, bro.
"Do you think she wins that fight if she's not drunk? It is for real."
Um,
Because he was playing all defense till she passed out drunk.
yeah, I don't know what I don't know what it would look like if he did some offense.
Yeah, well, I feel like maybe a spy and assassin have
Similar
similar,
skill sets.
yeah, but assassin has to be more confrontational if they try to kill someone and it doesn't work right away, or they might have to kill someone and escape, or if they get close, they might have some stuff going on. So I don't know. So I was like, he was like, why is she so strong? I was like, she's a strong lady. But yeah, he ends up saving her and they share a sentimental moment. I did like how he just up and like smacked Frankie like it was nothing. And Frank went, "Ugh," and got
It's
knocked
like you were
out.
the
So
easiest one.
yeah. And so
And then all the other spies who think they were like helping the mission just started cheering. So one set off fireworks. They were crying
yeah,
for Anya.
yeah. And I feel like even though he doesn't know yet, I feel like he kind of sees himself as a father to Anya.
Well,
Cause
he's so mission oriented. I don't. He probably doesn't realize it, but I think Yor is
cause you
catching herself realizing that she's like getting attached.
Yeah, because I feel like, um, like as a father, like the reason I'm saying this because he like cited his pride and he acted all like simply at the end and was like, "I'm here to save you," and that part. So like he could have just like, "Up, I want to save you now," like dry tone, but he kind of like played into her fantasy a little bit more, and that's kind of what a dad does to appease their kids to make them happy. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, episode 6, the friendship scheme.
Well, we can probably talk about episode 6 and 7 at the same time. They like fall into the same theme.
And they do, but I like to differentiate.
Now, when it comes to Overlord,
I differentiate too with that.
likely story, sir. But carry on.
Yeah.
Friendship scheme.
No, because Overlord's your brainchild, so I let you take the lead, and that's how you like to do it. But me,
Nah, that's Lord Infamous's.
not well. Who picked it for the show though?
Had to pick it for the homie, dog.
You
You
ain't had to
weren't gonna
pick
pick
it.
it,
You wanted to pick it. That's why. I shoot. Nah, I mean,
and we in season 3 already.
thank goodness.
Well, no,
But
yeah, don't count your chickens yet. Season 4 approaching.
I ain't doing season 4. Ain't got enough time in the day.
Damn. And that's gonna have to be in sub.
Yeah, definitely ain't got enough time in the day. I'd rather watch One Piece.
Oh damn,
Nah, I'm
that
kidding.
says a lot, guys.
So episode 6, friendship scheme, shopkeepers. They were talking about people not liking people from all sorts of like their sect. Like it's very clicky in the school, and the kids get kidnapped from time to time because they people looking for a quick buck and a come up. And she's all sorts of frazzled by it. She's like, you think there'll be kidnappers here? Kidnappers there? Are the kidnappers at food? She's like, I don't want to eat. There's kidnappers. Which I, which I think she's a tad bit paranoid, but at the same time, should be worried if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and apparently there's all sorts of hazing at the school too. And Twilight got called back for his phase 2 briefing, and so he just get a rundown of Eden, and he's like, I gotta turn Anya to an honor student. And the line I did like for this one when he was like, "Hello, anxiety, my old friend." I felt that. I was like, "Oh, I feel you, dog." That's me feeling the anxiety.
Yeah, it's because
And
he has
so,
to rely on other people to like really cinch in his mission.
yeah, and I guess he's never worked as part of a team like that, or I'll put it this way, not as a wacky team. He might have worked with a capable team, people that had the skill set to get the job actually done. So yeah. And so Anya and they collect the uniform, and she keeps showing her everyone the uniform, which she's like, "Oh, look at my uniform! Look at my uniform!" And she's like, "I'm." They're like, "Oh, you're cute." So then they go to the supermarket, and there's some people, mischievous hoodlums outside, and the kidnappers grab her, but Yor shows up. She smacks a dude with a bag of groceries, knocks him out. And then dude's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to pay for that with some money. Get your checkbook out," because she didn't. They didn't think they thought she was the au pair or nanny because they're like, "Why would the rich person do their own shopping?"
Yeah, dude picked up a pumpkin and was ready to throw it at her.
Yeah, or something. He's ready to do something with it. She like smashed it all in one hit. It was like, "Get out of here if you don't want that to happen to you." And I was like, "Dang, she's really cool. I wish I could meet someone like her." So, uh, in the
Mama
process, she
Yor.
ruined. Yeah, in the process, she ruined all her food.
Yeah, and she was like, um, "Sorry, I took my eyes off you," or something like that. I'm a failure or something. She's like, "No, you're super strong and cool." And Anya's like patting her head.
Yeah, it was a nice reversal of the comforting moment. Yeah, so then she's like, "I want you to train me to fight." And this is when all the trouble starts. And so, um, yeah. And
Yeah,
I did think another,
in
yeah.
hindsight, the training really backfired.
Well, you always need to know how to defend yourself, but
I think
still,
that was pure offense.
yeah, it was. But what to say, the best offense or best defense is a great offense.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you know how to defend if you keep attacking. But I did think a good funny moment here was when Anya was freaking out that everyone was wearing the same uniform as her, and she's like, "Well, that's what the uniform means, sweetie." She's
Nah,
like, "They had the
forget
same
that.
clothes." Yeah,
The thought process he had, and it was like turning this child into an elite. I've mostly given up on that thing. On her face was just like, oh,
yeah, that too.
no faith.
And I also realized that she wasn't really using her well, I guess in episode 5 you can't really use your mind reading abilities as much. But yeah, they started getting back to it towards episode 7.
Yeah, I noticed that they didn't really focus on her mind reading ability in episode 5.
Yeah, so I was like,
It like
I thought that was
it
something.
came into play at like here and there little, but like it wasn't like a focal.
Yeah. Yeah, so then I was thinking, yeah, the Intel, she gets matched up with all the special kids in the Intels and old Becky. Becky's cool, and um, she remembers that you were told her to smile and like she's like, remember, be a bigger person, like you don't have to fight people or something. And I thought it was funny because Becky was like, you don't have to be mean to her, even though she's ugly to me. And I was like, ooh, Becky, throwing your friend under the bus. But that's terrible.
That's a Becky.
But yeah. So then she's going on there down the hall there. He's ripping her and stuff and making fun of her and she slugs him. I'm like, ooh, okay, good. And then they made up she made up a lie. She's like, well, he stepped on her shoe and stuff because he was like, don't lie about stuff. And she made up the lie. I was like, okay, that's nice. And then my boy, he was like, "Oh, you didn't get mad they were picking at you, but you defended someone else's honor. So elegant."
So elegant, even though I already know you've done
Yeah,
something terribly bad.
yeah. So that concludes 6 and we're on to 7, and the target second son. So Lloyd tells Anya to apologize. Anya also receives a demerit for this, just one, because he uses the headmaster uses discretion.
Yeah, she was supposed to get 3.
Yeah. So um So then Becky stops her from apologizing, and I thought it was funny that Lloyd watches her at the school. And another thing, the kids were learning the Pythagorean theorem. It looked like, but I didn't see the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I guess they're just learning the size of a triangle. Now that I think about it,
Yeah, yeah, the how to find the missing side of a triangle. Well, the kids are. Anya was sleeping.
yeah. So I was like, man. And then old boy was the janitor too.
Yeah, he
She
was
read his
everywhere.
mind.
I mean,
Yeah.
the best one was the one with the mirror,
Yes. And she was like, God, is that you?
and I guess she read his mind and his mind, which scientific fact, you actually can't change the voice in your mind. But like his voice in his head kind of was like, apologize.
Yeah. And so then let's see. So then he calls Becky away to get Anya to apologize, and she starts apologizing, and the other boys are thinking all sorts of mean thoughts, and it's making Anya cry and
Yeah, it made her cry. I was like, damn, she wants to apologize so bad, but they're just straight up hurting her feelings.
little stubby legs. I was like, oh man, that is terrible. You're hurting her. Anya, she's such
She
a
even
nice little
apologized
girl.
for having stubby legs.
Yeah, and like I'm wondering, like the kid's like, I didn't. He's like, no one said stubby legs or they're taking it. For some reason, I feel like the kids are going to pick up that she's actually psychic before the adults do, which is crazy.
Probably.
If that makes sense.
And like freaking Damien's just having a mental breakdown on like how he actually likes her but doesn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
And Anya's like
So
listening to him, so like where Pride freaks him out and runs away, and then Lloyd freaks out. It's like, no, Plan B is a bust. Anya's just like, Anya, Damien, relationship? No.
yeah, that's not one I would like to see, I guess. But I do like how Anya's like slipping up and she's like, oh, we got it to target or it's something's like, I want to be friends with you.
It's for world
And,
peace.
yeah, and they're like, huh? What are you talking about?
She's
World
trying
peace.
so hard to help, but her IQ doesn't match her what do I want to say?
Her level. 'Cause to be honest, I think she's either like four giver in turn five, and I think she's in like a 6 year old class, 6 or 7 year old class or something.
Well,
So I feel
I'm
like
thinking more on the lines of her IQ doesn't match her ambition, her current ambition.
yeah, and her development because I really don't think she's that old anyway. She just was acting that way so that she could get out the orphanage because the orphanage was a terrible place.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So then let's see. Yeah, the math problem. I was like, oh man, that was kind of terrible. The mom was talking about take away limbs, and yeah. So
She
then
could have
they
got the answer from Lloyd, but he was too busy trying to figure out a new form of approach.
yeah. So that happened, and he told her that she can't watch TV until she gets it done, and she ran away. She's like, I don't want to study, and then Yor and Lloyd have a moment. She's like, is this what Anya wants, or is this something that you want? He's like, oh, you're right. So he's like, what would you do with your brother and this and that? And she filled him in on like what she did and such. And then he goes to end up checking on Anya, and she was studying on her own and fell asleep. So, and then she starts mumbling like, "Mother, no, can't kill father."
It's
And
like,
she's like, "I
what the
wonder,
hell are you dreaming about?
yeah, what kind of dream do you have?" So that was a good one. I enjoyed it.
It's a
A
good
good
three
show.
episodes.
Yeah, very very cool.
You want to get into a little jujutsu?
Yeah, there's not much there.
Nah, it's just a little flashback on Panda's former life, which I don't think anyone would have guessed he had, because like it's kind of just like how close he was to his brother and his sister, and how typical older brother doesn't want to hang out with the younger one, and I guess his big sister was like the one that was just like, hey, you got to take care of him. Hey, you got to do this. You got to do that.
Yeah,
And then like towards the and he realizes that he needs to be a better big brother, but the dad shows up and is like, we need to go. Can't be around Panda no more. It's like, no, we can't leave him behind. He can't take care of himself. I got to get him a ball. And like, you don't understand. We're not the ones leaving him behind. It's like, oh, someone realized Panda's potential, I guess.
yeah. And then Hakurei shows up and like Panda's just like a floating head. Or he's just a head. He's not completely dead yet. And the guy's like, oh, you must not be dead yet because I didn't get any points.
Then he just started talking, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much that. Let's see. What else is here? So dealer's choice, TOG or Overlord?
Let's go a little T.O. Jizzle.
Jizzle. Mm. Okay, Tower of God, season 3, episodes 9 to 17. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, the elders envoy arrives and they're greeted by a woman, and she got her yams all hanging out. And I'm like, okay, I see you. Um, and Yama actually liked that Bam stood up to him and didn't cower. I was like, oh, okay. Bam out here doing stuff against the grain. And so they come up with the plan is to defend the Fang from Yuma, and the loser has to do what the winner says. And Yama's like, oh, I agree. And Karaka and Bam changed some words. and the gist of it was that uh, if they want to win, but it might lessen the likelihood of betrayal. Because they were looking at it that way in that regards, like, oh, even though he said he would help us, he might not help us, but if we win, he's an honorable sort of person, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Karaka was like, "Oh, you're a fool anyway." And he's like, "If I catch Ding Ding," he's like, "I'll make my own deal." And the three kings of the people in the cages, yeah, outside dogs, or yeah, humans and canines, and they talk about I guess the social structure of inherited powers and much and such.
Right.
Yeah,
So what's
and
what's really interesting about Tower of God, not to cut you off, is like over the past three
but you
seasons,
did.
I did. You're right.
He could have said, "Just want to interject here."
Yeah. But like it, because you mentioned Karaka and like how they're kind of on the fence right now, and then later in your readings, they're kind of like Viol and Karaka are kind of like working together. And before, like middle towards the end of season two, Karaka was just trying to kill Bam like the whole time. So it's like really interesting how Sui, I think that's how you pronounce his name, like takes these characters and like, okay, here's the crew. Now here's the crew. Now here's the crew. Here's the people you're following. And like you're gonna keep seeing things like that, or like people show up and they just like we're like almost rotating people.
Yeah, to fit the narrative that he wants to tell at that particular moment, or the ones that would fit in to better progress the story.
Yeah, so like right now you see, I guess Karaka giving his brother disciple, um, not disciple. What is it when you follow the same master?
Brother Sensei, I forget the term. I know what you're trying to say. I just
Yeah,
forget the
yeah.
term.
But it almost seems like he's more willing to accept Bam now that season three started.
I think it's more so that his master was willing to kill himself in order to make sure Bam lives. So it's like, oh, master must have been on something all along.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But let's
so
continue.
yeah, yeah. So let's see. Yeah, and then Ding Ding has some other problems that he's neglecting to tell everyone. And we get introduced to Can Hong, and she's apparently Ding Ding's rival, and a mysterious being attacks Bam. We find out this is a ghost, and the attendants gets to Kun and Ding Ding. So the Fug attendants, they try to steal the Fang, and one of them is in the blocks rack attack like it's nothing. And Ishu calls Bam and tells him the plan is off, everything's going awry, and there's a hunting party for Bam that is being up. It's like Mad Dog and all of them, uh, and then my man flashed the Kun and he teleports and knocks out a member that stole the Fang. I was like, "Ooh, come with the punch, using instant transmission." So, um, then the guy that he hit was like, "Oh." He's like, "You changed." He's like, "You never used to get angry and violent or something." And he and Kunt said he changed his style, and he's like, "I'm more impulsive now." I'm like, "Ooh, okay, that's different." I wonder
Mm-hmm.
if dying does that to you. I don't know.
Or just his
Uh,
maybe just his need to stay with Bam.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Because you've talked about it before. Like Khan has mentioned, like Bam's getting stronger and stronger. He's like leaving us behind. We got to try to keep up with him.
Yeah, I don't know, but whatever it is, Kun's a man. I'm glad he's back. So then Ken Hong starts fighting Ding Ding, uh, and my man Kun uses Ice Senshu to stop was it AA's movement. I was like, oh, look at you, Kun, using some skills. And this is when we get introduced to that Yama's older brother is a sleeping beast in a cage, and the elders want to wake him up, and then we flash to Bam, and he goes into like a Naruto Sage mode. You know, the reason why I say this is because he uses this whole technique where he stores up power, and I kind of liked it to when Naruto had his shadow clones,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just sitting there always charging up the nature energy, and then whenever he needed it, he would just release them. So, but I did find it interesting that Bam's his, I guess his move is like water now. That makes sense.
Well, yeah. Well, the
Because I
Shinsu is like water.
yeah, so I didn't know if his was like something before. And I'm like, oh, he uses water, and I'm like water and Kun's is ice. So I was like, maybe ice melts into water, so maybe Kun helps Bam get stronger. I don't know. It's just food for thought. So
I don't know, cause Bam Kun is not really a wave controller.
yeah, but my
He's more
man, yeah,
I think he's the light bearer, but like he's more suitable to a spear bearer, as the leader of the Kun family said in
hidden floor.
the hidden floor. Yeah.
No, I'm just making the parallels because ice and water,
Oh,
they're
how like
the yeah,
complement each other. Yeah.
they're like one and the same. You can make water into ice and ice into water. So I'm like, maybe that's a play on Kun Bam needing Kun to get where he needs to go or something. Because Kun's a great planner. Bam doesn't plan too well, and Kun's always finding ways to make Bam's plan go the best that it can. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like he's building his stuff to increase Bam's flow.
But
And
don't
so
forget the other um um family
it's
member of the Kun
forgotten.
family. I think his name is Ran,
Yeah,
and then like he does the lightning. Like that could also be complementary to Bam.
could be.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
how Rack's rock comes into play.
It's immovable. Doesn't stop. Yeah. So then Kun told it's a trap, and they're really just trying to wake up the older brother. And then Yama's third brother, Baylord Paul, comes out that little doggy looking thing and starts slaughtering people. I'm like, ooh, okay. Well then we go back to Ghost fighting Bam. He's like, you got all stronger. And he's like, but you got to get even stronger to fight Jihad. And then Jordan shows up to test Bam's skills. I'm like, okay, this
Mm-hmm.
guy. Yeah. And then they call his nickname is Jordan or Fighting Maniac. I'm like, okay. And Bam wants him to join Jihad's army because he's like, you get to fight all sorts of strong people. And then the high priest shows up as well, and Jordan he took a liking to Bam, and he decides to show him his strength on the high priest. And Kahong attacks Baylor and gets cut down. Like, ooh. And then everyone's trembling. And my man, Mad Dog, was like, don't move. And he's like trembling and shaking, and because he doesn't want to get hurt, because Baylor's pretty strong, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And still, AA's like, oh, kill Kun or something. And like, we'll get you. We'll get you to your brother. And then he ended up stabbing Kun. I was like, oh no, not my boy. Not my boy Kun. And this is where we see like a little light come out or something. I'm like, huh, interesting. And High Priest was sent actually to capture Bam. And some guy named I think Blitz shows up to catch Shibusu. And my man Shibusu did a deadly kick, and I was like, psh, that was weak. And then you get into a little standoff where it's Shibusu, and then the other is his partner. shows up and Hots is him, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And apparently all friends. I'm like, huh. So they didn't know each other. And then later on, after they said the name, I was like, oh, this was one of the guys from the other floor.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of makes sense. Cause I forgot his name. So many names, so little time.
Yeah, a lot of character rotation. So like, when you bring someone back, it's hard to remember them exactly. There's so many characters to like keep up with. So unless you're like particularly fond of them, you know what I mean?
I'm not fond of anyone except for Rack and Kun.
And Bam.
I don't really care for Bam too much.
And Bam. Bam's not that's non negotiable.
It's always negotiable.
No, no, no. It's like the face of a franchise. You can't be fond of anyone in a franchise without the face.
He could be.
That is the franchise. Tower of God is Bam. Bam is Tower of God.
Actually, Tower of God is a place where they do all of their traveling. So, yeah,
But there's a
not
place
really.
outside the tower.
Yeah, but
The
they go
unknown unknown.
they go to the Tower of God to do everything that they need to do. So
What is it, the Tower of God or is it the Tower of Jihad?
I don't know. That well, the title on the book says Tower of God, so that's why
Oh,
I gotta go
speaking of the
with
book, did you see there are physical copies up for pre-order for Tower of God?
it. No, I did not see.
Cover and hardcover books. Of course, I pre-ordered the hardcover book.
Mm, I like them soft.
Just putting it out there, but carry on.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were they tell him of the coup that's going to take place soon, and Yama locked up his older brother and then kicked out his younger brother, and everyone's looking for revenge. So I'm like, that makes sense. Took all the power, and then the high priest is actually a canine, and he's like he calls Jordan his brother. I'm like, ooh. And apparently, not all canines aren't belong in the cages. And Yama actually lied to his people, and he kicked out people that was loyal to the brothers. And I'm like, ooh, okay. And so then we go back to Kun. He's being reawoken and such. I think no, that's a little later. Yeah, Yama told a lie to his brothers that they died in battle, and after they left, he wanted to hunt them down and kill them. Uh, he banished them from the cage, and then the high priest killed himself with a bomb in his head because he was like, "I won't tell you anything, so you won't go visit my outward clan or something." So even if you could get the information, and then he just kills himself. Noble, yeah. So and Kun has some flames around him. I'm like, what is he, a flame fish now?
He's got the Eon Flames, and he's a Kun. He's got Kun Ice and Eon Flames.
Yeah, my man Todoroki. Okay. So Michael and Paul talk about the orders that they received for the cage. And Elder has decided to place Yama. And Zone shows up to confront Gato, who is leaving, and to ask the high priest about the outside canines. And then my man Zone turned into Mori. And he's like, yeah, there's almost zero chance for you to be his father, Ghetto, Ding Ding's father. And this is when Ghetto renounces serving under Yama and goes to separate ways. So, so then Chang, he's was it a semi-human or something? And he's going to go to Kun's team and kill them all. And so then you get a three-way call with Kun and Isu and Bam, and he tells them all the situation. And Madaroko set him up from the start, and Paul tests Jordan, his partner. I forget his name, and Gato tells Zone that he lacked a goal. That's why he's so weak. and a warship shows up, and it's canines from outside. And I thought this is funny too, how their names are Grande, Vente, and Tall, which is
Mm-hmm.
all plays on drink sizes. So um, then they killed. I think Chang was um, one of their informants, and they just killed him like Majin Buu, shot him in the air, and then they just seeked them and killed the boy. I was like, oh man, oh geez. And Modoroko is going to kill Karaka for the ladle, and what Karaka says that he doesn't trust anyone or something, and he hears something from the observer because he put something in Bam's observer, a tracing bug, and he hears everything, and then he turns to to confront Modoroku, and the Modoroku freeze. And Gato meets up with Paul. And Bam makes his way to the room, and there's an outside dog there. And Butler tells him that Gato has betrayed them. And Bam starts to goes to wake him, and the guy tries to stop him, and Bam scares Homer with just a look. He's like, "Did he bend my attack?" And he's like, "No, he scared me." So, and I kind of was getting the feeling that Gato might be a double agent. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to get their information, but doesn't want to. So I don't know. Do you feel like that?
Well, I actually know what happened, so
You can just say yes. I feel like he's a double agent, or no, I don't feel like he's a double agent based on the information provided.
I feel like whatever answer it gives is either the truth or a lie. So I'm going neutral.
Nah, you can lie or tell the truth. I don't care.
I feel like you're a double agent.
Most of the time, I am.
Whoa.
Yes. Most of the time, I'm just an agent.
But are you a
Agent of
spy?
chaos. No, I'm too big to be a spy.
Too bit. I don't think size has anything to do with it.
Yeah,
I
I
think
couldn't sneak into.
disguise.
Yeah, because I couldn't blend into a crowd and escape because I'm heads above everyone else anyway.
Oh,
They're like, it's him. It's that tall man right there.
so you have to do
So
all your you have to do you have to do all your missions. Make sure it finishes around the time after an NBA game, so you can just blend in with basketball players.
yes, exactly. Because if I don't, they're gonna be like, because if I go somewhere, it's like people if they're around 6 feet, I'm still above them anyway. So like, yeah, he's about a little taller than me, and it's like, how many people are actually that tall anyway? Very few people. So yeah, it'd be a little harder to blend in the crowd.
I feel you, dog.
Yeah, if I was a little shorter, I could blend in, or I could climb through an air vent or something, but I couldn't. Can't do that. Too wide body, got broad shoulders. so so and then God was talking to Ding Ding, and he's like, "You can't defy fate. Like fate brought you back here because you're the heart." And people reach the older brother. His name is Doom, and Dee Dee's the mechanism that will get the oldest brother going. Bam goes to wake Yama. Yama's kind of sleep fighting and such, and then Karaka intervenes, and now they team up to fight. So that's TOG. There you go. And we're on to the Overlord,
Overlord.
Luffy 2.0.
Whoa. Episode
Yes.
12 and 13, the season finale, and then the first episode of season 3. Now we're going to start with 12 and 13, even though there's not much to talk about episode 1. It's kind of just like, I don't know, feel good. This is what everyone's currently doing. But, episode 12, the final battle of Disturbance, and we pick up where we left off, where Momon showed up in the middle of the battle between Demiurge and the Evil Eye from that one adventurer clan. And Momon starts fighting Demiurge, and this girl starts falling head over heels for Momon. Demiurge agrees to. Demiurge and Momon agree to like end it. And, it's all a charade. That fight is a charade. And he tells them like a hellfire is gonna appear somewhere in the city, and the evil eye girl is like, "Oh, a person in our clan has the power to resurrect. It's a fifth tier magic. Impressive, I guess." But like in her head, she's like fangirling over Momon. So my man's got women all over him in the Toma Nazarick, and he's got women over him in his night form. Hein slash Momon's a real ladies' man.
Is he a ladies' man, or do they just like him because he's not like
Well, I'm sure if the
going?
eye of the evil eye saw his real identity, that all that would be gone.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really go out of his way to acquire ladies. They kind of just like, oh, he's cool and this that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
So
But the fight commences, and let me see. We go back to where oh, what color? A red hair swordsman and the kid knight were saving the human maid, and it was the human maid was actually um the illusion
man in
guy in disguise.
disguise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the illusion guy in disguise. Succulent in disguise. And with the thief guy's help, the kid got the better of him. I think he kicked him in the balls, which was unfortunate.
yeah,
And and then old blue hair was going toe to toe with the leader of the Six Arms or whatever the hell he calls his group. But then my man Sebas shows up with Human Maid next to him, and he takes the hit. And I don't know how he blocks it. I don't really know what he did, but then he just axe kicks my dude, and either knocks him out cold or kills him dead.
yeah.
So then, we go back to Momon and Nabe and the girl, and she lets it slip like it's been a few hundred years since I had my last crush. I'm like, I'm sorry, how old are you? I thought you were human. I thought she was human, dog.
No, you talking about
The girl with the
the
mask.
puke? Oh yeah, yeah. No, just been yeah. I don't know. She might be human, or she could have been used resurrection magic to bring her back a bunch of times.
But I don't think that would negate aging, right?
I don't know. This world makes up its own stuff.
Oh well. And we do a little call back to the princess and how her plan was to try to get the blonde knight killed so she can have him resurrected and tend to his wounds because he'd be so out of energy and no one would she's out here playing chess and use my man as a pawn.
Yeah.
But then episode 13, the ultimate trump card. Blue hair guy saw Shoutier and like told the others to go on, hopped on the roof and like was ready to fight her, and I'm just like, I don't think that's Shoutier. Is that Shoutier? I don't think that's Shoutier. But like he was convinced it was Shoutier. I'm like, I don't. That's not Shoutier.
Oh no, dog. I
You didn't
just be
notice?
here. Nah.
Really?
Yeah, because it was because it wasn't her and red her red
Well,
vampire outfit get up.
the hair color was different and everything,
Yeah,
and she looked taller. I was like, that can't be her.
she could have changed her stuff.
Yeah, she could have, but I don't know, man. I don't think that was her.
I don't know either.
But then my man was ready to die and like cut her finger off, and she was like, "You make a good nail clipper. And it's like, thanks for the compliment. I can't believe I actually got it. And he tried to run
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. And then she let him go for whatever reason.
Yeah, she saw the kid and it was like, yep, gotta let her go. I was like, but why?
She's like, that's so and so.
Mm-hmm.
Or she said, is that? And she just left it at that. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So, the Momon, Demiurge, the Evil Eye, and Nabe all pick up where they left off. Demiurge brought like 5 other maids with him, whatever they are, including one being the Bug Girl. And the funny thing about this is Nabe, Momon, Demiurge, and the other 3 ladies were just carrying on casual conversations while the evil eye girl was essentially in her head fighting for her life.
She was.
And then it was just like when it got to the end of the conversation, sorry, let's wrap this up. And they're like, sorry, we gotta put some marks. And she's like, no problem, it's part of the mission. And then Demiurge just like, shall we withdraw? And Momon's like, yes. And then evil eye girl's like, no. Just like, oh my god, she's an idiot. Does she not know I have thousands of people just waiting around? I'm
Yeah.
willing to leave.
Yeah. I was like, huh, interesting.
Yeah, so that really ended that. There was no real ending to the fight. It was kind of just like, it kind of almost seemed like a play. But,
It definitely was acting going on.
mm-hmm. Nonetheless, we get to the end, and there's this guy that seems like he's the ruler of some palace. A blondie just laying on the side talking to an old man who appears to be a mage, and they're discussing Momon and Ainz and how they want to meet them both. I'm like, haha, little did it know, same person.
Yeah.
Right, right. So how'd you feel about that season, Irby?
Uh, it was okay. To take it too long to get good, it might get good around episode 420.
I'll have you know, sir, One Piece was good since episode 1.
Maybe for you.
Yes, for me. But I don't know. We were told that it's gonna start picking up around this season, so season 3.
It definitely didn't because episode 1 I was like, ugh.
Well, episode 1 just it was an intro. I'm not gonna judge the season based on episode 1.
I'm judging the whole season off episode 1.
Yeah, well, since we're talking about episode 1, a ruler's melancholy,
Melancholy.
melancholy. Yeah, I didn't know what that word was.
You ain't look it up though?
Nah, I didn't even. I just watched it, bro. Like it's, I wake up in the morning and I'm tired, but like watch episodes, eat something, get ready to record.
Dang. Yeah, look it up.
What is it?
I think it's kind of like a sad feeling.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this episode, Ainz tried to give most of his crew some time off,
Yeah.
and we learned some interesting things.
Definition: a feeling of pensive sadness.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think we started off giving rewards to Sebis, um, Salushi, and the bug girl. No, Kokaitis is not the bug girl. That's the bug guy.
Yeah.
And Sebis wanted clothes and stuff for the human girl, which Lord Ainz was like, why don't you make a day out of it and go with her? Salushi wanted human victims, preferably innocent, but Ainz was like, you can have humans, just not innocent ones. I have morals to keep.
Yeah.
And then Burko is just like, I don't want her head now, but if she has to die at some point, I want the voice of the girl who did this to me, which is the evil eye girl that's now in love with Momon.
Yes.
And he's like, very well, that's fine.
Which I
So,
don't think she's gonna die, but
we'll see. So
yeah.
then, after seeing some people have the day off and what they're doing, blah blah blah, we go over to Albedo, Shoutier, and the girl twin that dresses like a boy, and they're talking about the horse. And Shoutier tries to hop on the horse, but the horse kind of like breaks down, and then Shoutier brings out her book that Ainz gave her, and turns out you can only ride that horse if you're impure. And they're like, wait, you're a virgin? And she's like, I don't even have time to think about sex with guys I don't even think about. But and then she's like, shouts here, what's your sex life like? And she's like, I've only been with women. I was like, what? He's like, you know how hard it is to find a good man, and sure you can use the dead ones, but they rot and things like that. And I was like, okay. But then Albedo was like, maybe if I say it's for work, Lord Hines will have his way with me. And then they got into their little back and forth and blah blah blah. So then you fast forward and you see Hines like practicing how to be a ruler in the mirror. It's like silence, and then he's like, if I pivot my hand, it'll look better. He comes out and talks to the shy boy twin, who thanks him and then compliments him, and then Ainz goes over and it's like, hey, you are all my pride and joy, blah blah blah. And they start tearing up, and then Albedo gets so hot and bothered she just straight attacks him, and like the assassins tried to get her off him and she just blew them away, and I don't know how far she got with him, but she was definitely on top when the episode ended.
Yeah, I think the melancholy thing too. Well, I was thinking about it. Like he's so worried about how everyone sees him that I don't even think he's even being himself anymore at this point.
Right.
So for his evolution, I would like to see him start being more himself instead of being what everyone wants him to be.
Well, even so, like, we're seeing a little more of what we heard about during the tournament of OP people, and like how he's losing his human emotions. So he was just reflecting on how he doesn't really care about humans in particular, but he can't act upon those feelings because he knows better. So maybe somewhere down the line, his judgment on like what's right and wrong towards people he doesn't know becomes a little less forgiving.
Yeah, I don't know. I just would like to see him act more of himself because he's always thinking, "Oh, how would they think about this if I did this?" Instead of just doing what's natural to him.
Mm-hmm. It ain't
Yeah,
easy being a ruler, dog.
I never said it was,
Mm.
but
But
yeah,
that's it on that. And do you if you got something you wanna go over, say, do?
no, I'm pretty good. Um, yeah, Ascendance of a Bookworm is pretty cool. You guys check it out. Let me know what y'all think.
Ascendance of a bookworm. Okay. Um.
Yeah, you ain't got to watch it, but our valued listeners, let me know what you think. I thought it was pretty cool. Nice little something to throw on. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't got time to watch or read something new, dog. I'm too busy playing Elden Ring for like the fourth time.
Yeah, it's a little different twist on the isekai. So
That would be nice. It's you get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again, just different people.
yeah, yeah, she still dies, but
That's why I
so
haven't really gotten into like watching So I'm a Spider, so what? Because it like the very first episode seems so parallel to Slime, and I was just like, well, why watch this? I already watched Slime. If it's just gonna be the same thing, she gets a let me guess, she gets a human form at some point.
could be. I
But
don't
I don't
know.
know. We'll see.
Yeah, we shall see.
Well, that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.